Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm Ken Barnes from Vintri Technologies. Thanks for taking the time to join us this morning. So today's webinar session will run about 20 minutes, and we'll follow up with around 5 to 10 minutes of Q&A. If a question pops up along the way, feel free to drop it in the chat, and we'll circle back to it at the end. I'm excited to introduce our presenter, Ashlee Zhao, a data analyst at Vintri Technologies. Ashlee will be leading today's presentation, titled The Importance of Establishing a Verified Single Source of Truth. So with that, let's get started. Take it away, Ashlee.
Everybody, and welcome to my first and our first in a while Vintri Technologies webinar. We get asked a lot by the market to bring these back, and now we're here. So as you all know, my name is Ashlee. I'm a data analyst here at Vintri. I'm really glad you can join us today. This session is designed for people who are managing complex project data across the SSoT lifecycle. Whether you're working in construction, maintenance, or operations, if you ever struggle to find the right document under pressure, whether it's an NDT report, an MTR, or an inspection record, if you ever said, I don't know, that file exists somewhere, you're in the right place. So over the next 20 minutes, we'll start by looking at why data today is so fragmented, why disparate data is the default, especially in midstream. Then we'll build from there to define what is a verified single source of truth and walk you through on how to achieve it in a phased and realistic way. My goal is that by the end, you walk away with a practical path to start centralizing and verifying your own data, no matter where you are in your digital journey. So I just switched my camera off while we go through the slides so you can focus on the content, and we'll come back at the end for any questions that you may have. So let's start with the current reality. In a typical project, data arrives from a wide range of sources: pipe manufacturers, coders, fieldwork, drilling rigs, and more. Each of them has their own format: Word document, PDF, spreadsheets, pictures, and so on. And most of it falls under what we call unstructured data. On top of that, you're dealing with data silos, legacy systems that don't talk to each other, and resistance to change. It all adds up. And the result? You spend hours digging through folders and email chains trying to confirm something that should only take you seconds. You end up with duplicated records and missing links between files, audit nightmare, and worst of all, lower confidence in decision-making. This isn't just inconvenience, it's an industry-wide challenge. A survey that was responded to by more than half of the midstream industry said one of the hardest elements to implement was documentation and record keeping. It directly impacts all other elements. So when documentation is incomplete or inconsistent, risk management becomes guesswork. As the industry has grown, so has the challenge. What's really changed over the past few years is the nature of the data itself. We've moved from our legacy system to an overwhelming mix of digital files: PDFs, drawings, images, emails, all created and stored in a different system. The volume has exploded, and with it, the complexity. So while the industry has matured in terms of systems and safety processes, it's now facing a new kind of challenge: keeping digital documentation accurate, consistent, and usable across projects, partners, and platforms. In other words, what used to be a paper problem becomes a data problem, and most of that data is unstructured. Okay, now, so let's break it down on what we mean by unstructured data. So unstructured data is basically any information without a predefined model or schema. Due to its undefined nature, data science expertise is required to prepare and analyze unstructured data. So when we think of PDFs, scanned documents, images, CAD drawings, emails, even PowerPoints like this one, large volume of unstructured data introduces inconsistency, inaccuracy, and data quality issues. And in midstream projects, this is the norm. Suppliers all have different systems and templates, so submissions come in inconsistently and are often incomplete. And here's where it gets real. According to IBM, bad data costs enterprise companies 20% of their annual revenues. For our industry, this translates to 8 billion a year in scrapped or stranded inventory, 1.5 billion in lost divestiture value, 8 million in MAOP-related risk, and 1 billion in duplicated data access costs. That's a staggering amount of waste, and the root cause isn't technology, it's data inconsistency and lack of verification. Now, not all data is completely unstructured. Semi-structured data is kind of the bridge. It has some organizations to it, but is not fully standardized. So when we think of emails, they have sender information, timestamps, and subject lines, or files in JSON. They have tags that give some structure. This is the transitional state. It's how we move from raw, messy inputs towards structured, searchable data. And finally, structured data. This is what we are all striving for. It's highly organized into defined fields and tables, which means it's easy to query, easy to report on, and can be integrated into analytics. And this is what powers your dashboards, your compliance reports, and your incident response workflows. And structured data is the foundation of a verified single source of truth. Now, why do these challenges hit midstream harder than most other sectors? It comes down to two things: high consequence and high variability. You're dealing with materials traceability, regulatory compliance, and safety, and you have large supplier ecosystems all working on tight schedules. At that scale, a good enough folder system doesn't cut it. You need centralization and verification baked into your process. So what is a verified single source of truth? You can think of it as a centralized repository, a single platform where all project data is ingested, processed, deduplicated, and verified. However, it goes beyond just storage. It ensures data quality and governance, enforcing consistent metadata, naming conventions, and clear ownership, so your information stays reliable and organized. It also prioritizes cybersecurity, protecting sensitive geological and operational data from unauthorized access. And that being said, you end up with one trusted place to search, retrieve, and report with confidence. And when we say centralized, we don't just mean dump everything into this shared folder. A true centralized system means every data source, whether they come from manufacturer or surveyors, they all feed into this one intake point that can be integrated to your existing system. Metadata and lineage are standardized, so context is never lost. And access controls, versioning, audit trails, they all built in by design. So you're not just storing data, you are managing and validating it. After we talk so much on benefits of consumable data, how do we make unstructured data consumable? So now, if you're picturing any ETL system that's transferring water from buckets to buckets, that's not what we do. But instead, we take up on an iceberg of data. We break them down into pieces, classify them into different buckets, and then sorting and storing them accordingly. And here's how the transformation happens step by step in-house. So first of all, we ingest all forms of incoming data, classify them, identify what type of record it is. It could be MTRs in PDF format, email threads between you and your suppliers, field data stored in Esri, Excel files from survey companies, and so on. Then we extract and normalize by converting them into a consistent format and store it in our system. After that, we deduplicate. Based on the situations, we either merge unnecessary duplicates or we keep multiple iterations. And last but not least, we validate all records. We check for their completeness and correctness. Once those are complete, the data can be safely published into analytics and reporting systems. Now it's clean, it's verified, it's audit ready. Verification is really what builds trust in our system. It's not just about running automated checks. It's combining those smart checks on high-value attributes with an analyst review to make sure we bridge the gap with suppliers' submission. Now, What's important here is how we handle these issues. Things like critical omission, discrepancies, or outliers, they get highlighted for your review, and that's intentional. Standard data prep tools just delete or override those automatically. But in critical infrastructure, that's the last thing you want. Because what looks like a small data issue can actually mean the wrong flange or pipe being installed. Maybe that's the one that can't handle the product or the pressure of that line. So instead of cleaning the problem away, verification gives you visibility, helping you catch those risks before they become expensive mistakes. When conflicts or exceptions arise, there's a process to handle them consistently. And because this process is repeatable, it survives turnover and scales across multiple projects. And let's look at what this means in your day-to-day work. With a verified single source of truth system, you no longer have to hunt through email threads, folders, or spreadsheets. Retrieval is almost instant. You also eliminate redundant documents and conflicting versions. You save both cost and time by streamlining submittals, reviews, and handovers. It reminds me of our recent experience with a major industry owner-operator. One of the comments we got was, what used to take us days to find now is almost instant. And I hope this resonates with some of you. Because if you could imagine answering a regulator's question in seconds instead of hours or days, that's a difference a verified system makes. And that places you far ahead of the game. It saves you time, it saves you money, and it saves you all the doubts. And when things get serious during an incident or an audit, this becomes critical. With verified data, you can trace materials instantly during incident response. You can present clear and verifiable evidence during audits and prevent costly errors before they happen by ensuring quality control upfront. It's not just about efficiency, it's about protecting your organization's reputation and safety record. There is another project we recently reviewed was on the brink of a $60 million in remediation due to incomplete and unverifiable records. These are not hypothetical cases we are imagining, they are happening now. So how do these transformations look like in practice? So before you might struggle in piles of paper or scattered folders trying to figure out what's usable for this project. With a centralized storage, you can access data, documents, images relevant only to this project. Before, it might take you hours to find a single document buried in an email or no luck finding it at all. With this integrated system, now it only takes seconds because your data is indexed and structured in the system. Before, you might be using days trying to manually compile reports from all sources in Excel. Now the push-button solution will be able to spit out trustworthy data and accessible reporting outputs. And I'd like to show you how this is achieved in Vintri. But keep in mind, this is what Vintri does. Like, you don't have to follow this 100%. And this could be used as a guideline to any solution you want to employ. So how do you actually get there? We recommend a phased approach so it's realistic, manageable, and measurable. Phase 1. Centralize your intake and define metadata standards. Start with your top data sources. Phase 2. Build extraction and normalization modules, then apply deduplication rules. Phase 3. Introduce verification workflows and pilot them with the dashboards and audit simulations. Phase 2. Scale across disciplines and suppliers with continuous improvement built in. And remember, no technology works in isolation. To succeed, you need alignment across people, process, and technology. Data owners in each discipline to maintain accountability, platform administrators to manage systems and permissions, verification analysts to handle exceptions and quality control, and supplier enablement to ensure submissions come in the right format. When these pieces work together, governance becomes sustainable, not reactive. How do you know when it's working? The best way to measure success is by tracking a few key metrics. From a business perspective, these improvements translate directly into stronger performance across your core drivers: Operational efficiency increases as teams spend less time searching across folders, emails, and disconnected systems. Cost savings emerge through reduced duplication, lower storage overhead, and fewer compliance penalties. And with a single reliable source of truth, decision-making becomes faster and more confident for engineers, field operators, and executives. In terms of safety and compliance, the benefits are equally clear. Enhanced traceability supports regulatory requirements such as API, CER, PHMSA, and other environmental standards. Quicker access to historical inspection reports or sensor data strengthens incident investigations and helps prevent future accidents. Meanwhile, centralization data simplifies sustainability and reporting, reinforcing our commitment to responsible and transparent operations. Ultimately, you know you've truly succeeded when your team trusts the system more than their own local folders, because that's when efficiency, compliance, and confidence are fully aligned. If you're evaluating platforms, here's what to prioritize. We want to make sure there is a broad ingestion capability, including AI-powered data capture, accurate extraction and data lineage tracking, secure access control and detailed audit trails, and easy reporting integration with tools like Azure or Power BI. The right platform doesn't just store your data, it connects and validates it across your ecosystem. So to wrap things up, here are some key takeaways and how you can get started. First, centralize your data. Make sure there's a single intake point for every source so you're not chasing information across different systems. Then, focus on processing and standardizing that data, turning it from something unstructured and messy into something consistent and usable. After that, it's all about verification. You want to build trust by combining automation with human oversight so the data stays reliable over time. If you're thinking about implementing a verified single source of truth, start small. Begin with your most valuable data set, prove the value, and then scale gradually across other projects. It doesn't have to be all or nothing right away. That being said, Vintri is specialized in doing this, and we have a ton of experience working with many midstream owner-operators. If you think Vintri can be helpful on your journey in building your verified single source of truth system, and if you'd like to learn more about how Vintri helps organizations implement this solution, you can visit vintritech.com/intro package. I'll ask Ken to put this link in the chat as well, so you can just click into it. And thank you all for your time today. I hope this session gave you a clear picture of what a verified single source of truth looks like. So it's not just a buzzword. As you can see, it's practical, achievable. I'm going to open up the floor for questions now. Feel free to drop them in the chat or raise your hand if you'd like to unmute.
Thank you, Ashlee. That's a great presentation. We've got some questions here already populated in the chat. I'm going to go through them one by one. The first question is, how long does it take to establish a verified single source of truth for a capital pipeline project?
You know what? I think it's really hard for me to tell you a definite answer to this question. Not because I'm not the expert of the project timeline, but also I think the amount of time we need for setup really depends on the project scope. For example, the volume of data, the number of asset types, the number of disciplines or project phase involved, and how many data management resources are dedicated. These are all factors that will impact the duration of time needed. So when I mentioned pilot projects, we're referring to like a smaller engagement scope. For example, applying Vintri solution to a subset of an asset or a specific section of the pipe to show what we are capable of doing, and then scale it across the full project. Is that clear?
That's great. Okay. Thank you. The next question is, what do you mean exactly by verified?
Well, When I say verified, it means we have alignment across every source of information that ties back to an asset's origin. Using AI-driven ingestion and cross-comparison combined with our experts' review, we surface any discrepancies, gaps, or conflicting information on those records. We then work with your team in an iterative process to ensure these issues are addressed internally. Ultimately, prep your asset data and make sure it's complete, correct, traceable, and audit ready through its lifecycle.
Thank you. Thanks, Ashlee. The next question is, how much does Vintri's solution cost? Let me jump in there. I can address that question. So our pricing really depends on the type and scale of the engagement at hand. We offer a product evaluation option to start where clients can apply Vintri to a smaller scope, such as a short section of pipe, which demonstrates the value before expanding further. And then for larger initiatives, we provide a single project engagement supporting the full life cycle of a capital pipeline project or facility. And then for organizations managing multiple projects at once, we offer an enterprise solution that delivers consistent data management and verification across their entire portfolio. In every case, our solution combines platform technology with expert services to establish a verified single source of truth and ensure ongoing data integrity. Before any work begins, it's important to say we always consult with prospective clients to fully understand their needs and provide a complementary, tailored proposal for their review. So it does depend on the nature of the project and so forth. And we closely work with prospective clients to detail a custom fit. The next question I have here listed, Ashlee, that has been entered into the chat is, how does your solution fit with our existing QA/QC team?
Great question. I think our solution is designed to support and strengthen your QA/QC team, not to replace it in any way. So instead of having your team manually cross-reference documents and spreadsheets, we automate the ingestion and verification process. We can flag issues and exceptions so QA/QC can focus their time where it's needed most. We also work closely with your team to define workflows and roles that align with your current structure, helping them to be more efficient and effective in their responsibility.
Okay, fantastic. It looks like I just have one remaining question at this point, unless anybody would like to enter more into the chat. Then the final question that I have here is, if U.S. regulations aren't currently increasing pressure, why is a verified single source of truth still urgent?
Well, a simple analogy here is the seatbelt. Would you go out today and drive around without a seatbelt? I don't think you will. Because it's not only because police officers are going to chase after you and issue you a $200 fine and maybe dock some points off your driver's license. It's because you know it's the safest thing to do. It's going to save your life when an accident were to happen. But in the early days, many saw it as an unnecessary cost until it became clear on how essential it was for safety and liability. The same logic applies here. Even as regulatory timelines shift, the need for reliable and trusted data hasn't gone away. A verified single source of truth improves operational decisions, strengthens incident response, reduces risk, and ensures you're ready for audits when they arise. By building a strong data foundation, you'll be better prepared as expectations continue to evolve rather than scrambling later.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Ashlee. That's a great response. It doesn't look like we have any questions unless there are any that are coming up here. So we'll wrap up at this point. I want to thank everyone again for attending. We really appreciate your time that you've taken to join us today. And if you'd like more information, or if you'd like to continue the conversation with us, please feel free to reach out to me personally, Ken Barnes, using the contact details here on this slide. You can also visit the link here, and I'll put it in the chat to learn more about Vintri and explore our data integrity solutions. And also, I want to mention, stay tuned. Our next session in the Vintri webinar series will be announced soon. And of course, we hope to see you there. Thank you, everyone, again.
Thank you.